In this lesson, we're going to look at equations that have like terms in them and what to do when you have more than one of the same kind of term in a problem. So in this particular problem, we got to think of each term. So here's a term, here's a term, here's a term. So there are 4 terms. 6x is a term, positive 9, positive 4x, and 89 are all terms. Now there are letter terms like the 6x, and the 4 is a letter term. And then there are number terms like the 9, and the 89 is also a number term because all it has is a number. So we have letter terms and number terms. And the idea is that when you have like terms in the same side, on the same side of the equal sign. So over here we have 2 letter terms, 6x and 4x, that are on the same side of the equation. In order to solve this equation, we actually need to put those together. So the idea in the first step here in any of these is to combine or put together like terms that are on the same side together. So we're going to combine those like terms, put them together. So the idea now is if we put the 6x together with the 4x, 6 and 4 gives us 10x. And then there's nothing to combine the 9 with on this side, so we'll just leave that. And then we have the 89, which we didn't do anything to as well, so we'll just leave that there. And so that's the first step in solving problems with like terms. Just combine those terms, put them together, and then we've actually simplified this problem into what we would call a 2-step problem. And those 2 steps are to, first of all, add the opposite of the number term to both sides. And if you aren't sure about this part, you might go back to the lesson on 2-step equations, because now basically what we've done is we've created a 2-step problem. Because my next step is to add the opposite number term to both sides. Now that I've combined the like terms, all I need to do is treat this like a 2-step, add the opposite number term to both sides. So I've added a negative 9 to both sides. That's the opposite of positive 9 or plus 9. I haven't done anything to the letter term over here. And so now I have 89 and a negative 9 combined makes 80. And then my last step is to divide both sides by the multiplier of x. And this is what we did in a lesson on 2-step equations. So the key part here is to combine those like terms, put them together, and then we've turned this into a simpler problem, 10x plus 9. And then my last step is to divide both sides by the multiplier of x, but divide both sides by 10. And now the 10s basically cancel or become 1x. And that equals 8 divided by 10 is 8. So our solution is 8. And as with any of these problems, if I have solved for x, then I should be able to check with x. So I should be able to put that 8 back in to this problem and get the same solution. So I should be able to do 6 times 8 plus 9 plus 4 times 8, and that all should equal 89 if I calculate it out. So one of the ways to check your work with these is to actually substitute back in the value you found for x. And so we can see that in this case the value of x is 8, and it should work out. So if I go 6 times 8 plus 9 plus 4 times 8 is 89. So I'll go ahead and combine just these two for now so we can kind of do this in pieces. And 48 and 9 is 57 plus 32 is 89. And so we can see that 57 and 32 actually is 89. So 89 equals 89. So x equals 8 works for this problem. So combining like terms, again, the key is to put those terms together. We don't want two sets of x's on one side. We want to combine like terms so that we can make this problem a simpler problem to solve. So let's look at one more example of that, combining like terms. So again, I need to look and see I have a letter term, a letter term, a number term, a number term. So we have letter term, and a letter term, and then we have our number term here in the middle. And they won't always be in this order, but in this case, and we do have another number term over here, but it's on the other side of the equal sign, so we don't really have to deal with it at the moment. Because the whole object is to get these x's together and then get everything else away from them. So the first thing I'm going to do is put these two letter terms together. And so what I actually have is 7x's minus 3x's. That negative is really negative 3x's. So 7 positive, 3 negative leaves me with 4x plus 4. Didn't do anything to the number term, so I'm just going to bring that down. Combine the other two into the 4, and that equals 48, the number term that I didn't do anything to. So that's my first step, combine like terms. These are like terms, put them together. Then I basically have a two-step problem where I'm going to add negative 4 to both sides. In other words, add the opposite, additive inverse. So add the opposite of the number term to both sides. And that eliminates the number term on that side. And then 48 and negative 4 combined make 44. So now I have a multiplication problem. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4. And I'll get the 4's canceling, and x equals 11 for the value of x for this problem. And I could put that right back in. 7 times 11 plus 4 minus 3 times 11 should equal 48 if I work this out. So that would mean 77 plus 4 minus 33. Negative 3 times 11 is negative 33 equals 48. So what I have is 77 plus 4 is 81 minus 33 equals 48. And 81 minus 33 does equal 48. And so you can see that it worked. So let's do one more real quick. We'll have like terms figured out. So one more. Again, so the idea is I have a letter term and another letter term. They are like terms. Like terms. And if I have like terms, I can combine like terms. 5x and 4x is 9x. I didn't do anything to the number term, so I'm just going to bring it down. 9x minus 6 equals negative 24. And now I have a basic two-step equation. 9x minus 6 equals negative 24. The first thing I'm going to deal with is the number term. So I'm going to add the opposite of negative 6, which is positive 6, to both sides. And I get 9x equals, and a negative 24 and a positive 6 make negative 18. And so combining those. And really, all through this process, all we're doing is combining things. And then the last step, I have a multiplication problem, so I'm going to divide by 9, and the 9's cancel, make 1x. And negative 18 divided by a positive 9 is a negative 2. And so there again, I have combined like terms. It's a three-step process. First of all, combining the like terms, then adding the opposite of the number term, and then dividing by the multiplier of x to get our solution. And really checking your answer is never a bad idea, so I'm going to do that just to make sure that that negative 2 works for x in all of those places. So I have 5 times negative 2 is negative 10 minus 6, or plus a negative 6. And then a 4 times a negative 2 is a negative 8. So you can see that all these terms are negative. Negative 10, negative 6, negative 8. Negative 10 and negative 6 is negative 16. And then negative 16 and negative 8 make negative 24. And once again, it's proven true. So the whole key to like terms is just getting those like terms together. And then once all your like terms are together, you basically have a very simple two-step equation where then you add the opposite for the number term and then divide by the multiplier of x. And you get your solution for x every time.